Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 60, where I got to play against the King's Gambit. So let's check it out. My opponent opened e4, I played e5, and he goes f4. You can see that's the second most popular move after knight f3. Other unusual moves here. You can see there's quite a drop-off in popularity there, but other playable but not so common moves are knight c3, the Vienna, and bishop c4, the bishop opening, and d4. What is that? That's the center counter. So, or the center game, I guess they call that. I'm sorry, the center game. But my opponent played f4, the King's Gambit, move of great antiquity, and many famous games played in this line. So I take the gambit. You can decline the gambit by playing bishop c5, or you can play a counter gambit by playing the move d5. But taking is okay too. It's not too scary at this point. And he can come out with the bishop. The bishop c4 move allows this queen to h4 check, which is a little bit uncomfortable for white. He has to move his king to f1. Otherwise he gets into big trouble because the pawn on f4 is blocking this, is controlling the square g3. So he can't just push a pawn and block your queen. So that's one way to play, but knight f3 is the main move here, and that keeps the queen out of these squares here, so that's why you play it. And then I follow up with g5, just defending the pawn. Now in over-the-board chess games, I normally play the move d5. You can see that's the second choice here, just with the idea of not holding on to my gambit pawn, but opening the game up and finding easy development for my pieces. That's my main concern here. The trouble with going down the main line like g5, I mean, in a blitz game or one of these video games, I can do it for the entertainment of myself and the viewers, but in a tournament game when I'm trying to win, it's a little bit dangerous because you can always run into an opponent who knows this more than you. It's a famous opening, it's been well studied, and there are many lines, and it's complicated, and unless you devote a lot of time to studying it, you can easily find yourself in a battle against somebody who knows more about what's going on than you do. But I know a few things, and I'll share them with you here. Let's see. So the most common move here is h4. That continues the main line, after which you play g4, harassing his knight, and then he can move his knight forward to the square e5, or even over here to g5, which is actually a piece sack, because you can harass it with a pawn and has no square to go to. and oddly enough, that piece sack is playable. But e5, I guess, is the more common move you see these days. But my opponent didn't play h4, he played bishop c4. And now this gives me a chance to get some development. You can just continue to push ahead with g4, and I think the knight even retreats in that case, although it's still idea to come to e4 and gang up on this f7 pawn too, I guess. Don't know about that. I'm more concerned about keeping the knight out of this e5 square, and so I play the move bishop g5, bishop g7. And this move has two ideas. One is to keep the knight out of this square, and notice this square is protected by the queen. The g5 square is protected by the queen, and the e5 square is protected by the bishop, so the knight can't get into either of these guys and attack your weakness here on f7. So that's the idea of my play. And then there's a second idea, which you see after this move, h4. I can play the move h6, and I don't have to worry about him taking here, because I can take back, and the bishop has defended my rook. Otherwise, there's a pin of the pawn against this rook here, but with the rook defended by the bishop, everything is okay. So normal here is just d4 and leaving this tension in the position. When my opponent plays h takes g5, we're pretty much out of book, and you'll see the computer evaluation goes up for black. After I take back and he trades rooks, he really doesn't have anything better at that point. You know, black has a pretty good position here. So it's in white's interest to maintain the tension here and push ahead with the center. And that is one of the ideas of the King's Gambit, is you've gotten a pawn out of the center. The pawn went from e5 over to f4. So why not just take over the center and then get easy development for your pieces. And black, on the other hand, is trying to hold on to this f5 pawn, not just to hold on to the pawn, but also to restrict this dark squared bishop here from developing. So it's a dual purpose move to hold on to it, and a decent way to play. Okay, but the game continues from here, and you'll see that shortly I make a mistake. So d4, good move. d6, just trying to slow it down. c3, and I didn't respond correctly. There's a threat in the move c3 that I didn't realize, and that threat is queen to b3 here with a double attack on this pawn and on this pawn. Now this pawn is defended at the moment, and this pawn could be defended with a move like queen to e7. And in fact, queen e7 is recommended already, although you could also just play knight c6. You could play pretty much anything except the move I play, bishop g4, because I've undefended this pawn here. So now when the queen comes out to b3, it really is a double attack, because this is not defended and this is not adequately defended. It's attacked twice and only defended once. So my opponent misses that idea on this move. He plays knight a3. I play my knight to c6, and now he gets it. He plays queen b3, and now he's got that double attack going. And it would have been stronger if he'd played it right away, but this defense is very hard to find. This is one thing I wanted to show you. The computer thinks I can defend by playing the crazy move king f8. So let's put that on the board here. We'll follow this kind of fantasy variation for a while. I would never think of a move like king f8 during the game. Even in a slow game, it would be hard to think of. Okay, so he can take a pawn. He gets a choice. He can take the pawn here or here. And the computer's recommending bishop takes f7. But this is not so great after this knight to h6. Isn't that good enough? Bishop has to retreat. But let's back up. It was suggesting something else. It was suggesting knight to a5, which is also a thematic move. That attacks the queen and defends the b7 pawn at the same time. And if the queen moves away from defending the bishop, then the bishop is hanging. But the knight is hanging over here too. So queen to d5. Okay, holding on to the bishop, attacking the pawn. And now knight to h6, attacking the bishop. Okay, so the game goes on from there. Queen to b3. I just thought that was crazy, that king f8 idea. Never would have thought of that. I played bishop h5, defending this pawn, and keeping my bishop on an active square. But now he can take this pawn, and I just didn't really see that. Any way to defend both of them. So he takes, and knight to a5 is what I played here. Looks like knight g to e7 is a better try. Yeah, I like that. This knight, get this knight to e7, defends my knight, and this rook is defended by the queen, so that holds everything together. I was just having trouble finding moves here, so I played knight to a5, and that allows this move, queen to b5 check, which I had already figured I could stop with the move c6. So I'd seen that far, but I missed the point that the queen is now, the queen is now hitting this pawn on g5, and the knight's on that, and so even though my queen is defending that square, he can grab that pawn. So I've just given up a couple of pawns, and my position is kind of in tatters here. So I am struggling on, and let's go through this. With the queens off, there's still a bunch of tactics just because of my pawns are all weak here. But both of us need to get our pieces developed too, but at the same time I don't want to lose mass amounts of material, and this pawn is hanging and this pawn is hanging. Just hard to hold everything together. So he grabs that, and I kick his knight. I just want to open up a line to his king and try to get some counterplay going. So he has to take, and then his knight moves, and I pin his knight with my move rook e8. And I'm sort of maintaining the same level of play. I haven't made any huge blunders here, but he's got a two-pawn advantage, which is just not going away. Maybe bishop g7 was a mistake. What does it say? Bishop g6. Yeah, getting this bishop to a safe square is probably a good idea. Also king c6. Okay, bishop g7, and he could play bishop e5 here. I guess that's the problem, pinning this knight. He went g4, attacking my bishop. I retreat. And now he plays bishop e5. But now I have some ideas. I can play knight e4 check. I didn't like this because of the line knight e4 check, and knight takes, and bishop takes e5, and then knight to... okay, it gives this line here. Let's see what happens. Knight e4 check. I was thinking about this during the game. Knight e4 check, knight takes e4, bishop takes e5. That's the idea, is I want to throw in that bishop takes move because this is hanging. I thought knight c5 check would just lose a piece, though, because king c6. Aha! King c6 attacks the knight, so he can't take my bishop. Aha! Okay, I missed that little trick. If he takes my bishop here, then I take the knight. Okay, so that's what I was saying. I saw up to the check, but I didn't see king c6. And so what I did was I moved my king to c6 first. So now I am threatening this check, and I can throw in the move bishop takes without worrying about his knight check. Okay, and he plays b4, and so I get to play out my planned line here. And he didn't take the bishop. Yeah, he could have either taken the bishop here or saved his knight, and he chose to save his knight. And now that gives me a tempo to save my bishop. And now in this line, I've suddenly got a decent advantage. So could he have played that better? Would have been better for him to take the bishop. That's what the computer thinks. Okay, but he saved his knight, and now I get a little pressure by pinning his knight. So I'm sort of clawing my way back into the game, but I don't maintain this. Knight d3. He slowly improves his position here, and he trades off one of my bishops, so it's getting simpler, and he's planning to just win with his extra pawns here. Rook f7. I just keep maneuvering. I don't want to give up my rook. I want to get it active and try and scoop up some of his pawns if I can. So he gives away that pawn, but he grabs a pawn over here, and I get a pawn over there. So now there's just a one pawn deficit, but he's got this move. Yeah, rook f7 check, still pretty good. And he's got the two pawns in the center. And so I try to hold on to my advanced pass pawn for a little bit, but eventually I realize I can't defend it anymore or make progress. Thinks I should play rook d1 check first. Just went ahead with a3, and then here I guess is where I realized I couldn't hold on to that pawn anymore. If I advance with the knight or the rook, is just going to take it. So I trade pawns, and now he's just 2 pawns up, and he should probably win this pretty easily, but he lets me get back in the game right here. Yeah, so what should he play? Knight b5. Yeah, just get the knight out of there. It's just a little bit of an unfortunate placement of his rook, of his king and his knight. So I can bring my rook in here with check. He moves his king, and then I win one of his pawns, and I'm pinning the knight. So it's gone with that one move. It's gone from being totally winning for white to being a draw. So this is a lesson in being on the lookout for your opponent's counterplay and respecting it. So here we go. And now I can just trade everything off. He gets in a check, but it's not going to help. And so I was able to get rid of all the material and draw the game after all of that. So I felt pretty good about managing to salvage that game after a couple of losses too. So I'm going to upload this. I may, if I have time, this is a sort of a bonus game. I'm uploading this today after my previous game because I'm going to be gone for about 10 days. So I wanted to get some extra games up here for you guys to look at in the meantime while I'm gone. And if I have time, I'm going to play another game and comment on it and upload that too. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys later. Leave any comments you have in the section below. Bye.